background would be that I come from Sweden and I keep doing what I do. Doesn't matter where I am, but I drink coffee, I like to meet people. That's what I do for life. I like to move around, go to new places. What I do for money, for work, would be also different. Working with coffee, working with group fitness, and a little bit of film and media. I like to have multiple jobs, do a lot of things, so again, meet a lot of people. What do? I try to wake up every morning and do what I feel like doing. And but for living, when it's going to be livable, and when I'm back in Sweden, then teach group fitness, work with coaching of others, and jump on different projects too. So I can travel again. I guess that's what I do. I felt very free and light, and that was the first time I backpacked. So you move around, you meet so many new people, and I've never traveled in that way before. And it was just very refreshing and eye-opening that it was so easy. I found it very easy. I thought it was going to be hard. It's like, oh, carrying a backpack, it's going to be hard. But it was so good. There's so much value in meeting new cultures and trying new food and walking on a new road every day or a new beach or wherever you are, right? I feel I see a lot of beauty in that, and I think it was eye-opening for me to understand how much I appreciate little things like leafy patterns and you know, a smell when you walk past the pad thai, whatever in Thailand, right? Like, I think that, yeah, it was, for me, eye-opening. It changed my life completely. I wish someone pushed me out of Sweden way before I pushed myself out. People always make a place or an experience, even if it's you go to a cafe and you get great service and they're really friendly, you're gonna remember that. That's the emotional part. A lot of places have food and coffee, but what about the other elements around the food or around the training or around the experience you come there to get? It's what you don't expect to get that triggers the emotional wow effects. And that comes from people and their passion and how they project that in their work. Why? If there was one why to pick out of why I like to meet people, it's, I guess, the story you can share and the lessons you can learn. You can teach someone something or they can teach you something. In Bali, a lot of people talk about healing. I think when you learn something, a new skill, or you learn something about yourself that you didn't know, but all of a sudden you met this person and you connected on a subject or a passion, or you have the same history maybe or a similar history, and you can share that. And it's powerful to share things with a stranger. I think, yeah, it's the unexpected lesson or emotional aspect of meeting people and how you can affect them and how they can affect you.
So
I feel, when you meet new people and you start to talk about something that you didn't plan to talk about, maybe for a reason that you can't, predict before, because you didn't know you're gonna sit next to that person and say something randomly that made you interact. And I think that even if you don't walk away from that conversation like, ooh, I learned a lot about myself. You had that moment with the stranger that I think for most people that are social and like to have conversations with people, that's just like nutrition for your soul. I think, especially moving around a lot, I travel by myself and I go out to dinner with myself. It's nice when someone acknowledges your existence and like to share a conversation. Especially, I think it's forgotten in the social media. My reasons for coming back to Bali so many times is I think the lack of stress that comes from big cities and the routine that me and maybe other people as well have at home, because you have your patterns and your friends there have your patterns and your work is da 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 da. So I feel more squared and I feel a little bit less free. And here, all of a sudden, like, I don't really have to look at the time if I'm not going for a coffee date, or Of course, you have to look at a time when you have a job here, but just the presence of more calm and smile compared to stress and being somewhere and ignoring the eye contact of a person that I experienced back home, that makes me come back to Bali. And here you realize also when you go to other people's places how incredible people can live in the most amazing place here. If I'm in Sweden, for example, or another big city where the temperature, like the weather, obviously makes it more tropical here. You can have an open living room and stunning views. And if I go back in Sweden, you know that everybody lives sort of in a box. It's going to be four walls, and they care or they do not care about interior. Here, I think I'm amazed every time I go to a villa. You go, wow, there's a lot of architecture here, and that's also nice. It's a diverse, not everybody lives in the same square. If you want to start something, I feel that Bali is a great place for it. It feels, it's easier here to start a thing, even if it's small. I feel if I would do anything in Sweden, there would be a lot of paperwork. Every country is different, but things that might be complicated in Sweden feels easy here. Things that are stressful in Sweden are not stressful here. It's a little bit upside down, but in a good way. And I remember I was walking and I was talking out loud and I was crying, and I don't have my mom anymore. And I remember that was one of the first times I allowed myself to do it very openly, without caring if people saw me crying or not. And most people, they're looking at their phone or their feet or their dog anyway. So, but that I just remember that as being a very good. It's a hard and a very good memory at the same time. And it could have happened anywhere else, but it did happen on my beach walk here in Bali, and that's a very strong memory. Because I remember how, when you pull the plug out of a bathtub, just emotionally, and then when I was done, I was just walking back smiling, watching clouds and colors. It was, that's a strong memory.